is the boxing bully, Barack, from Sweet Scientist. And you know I gotta shout out J Calderon Boxing Talk. You better tune in.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, J Calderon of Fight Hook News and Stand Clear Entertainment, and we're about to bring you this week's Boxing Talk. This Saturday, May 8th, it is the return of boxing's biggest star, Mexico's Saul Canelo Alvarez, live on Dazn as he takes on two-division world champion, undefeated WBO super middleweight champion Billy Joe Saunders in the biggest sporting event post-pandemic, where there will be over 60,000 to perhaps 70,000 fans in attendance for this fight right here in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. It is a very big matchup, a big sporting event. Like I said, we've been going through a pandemic for quite some time, and this is the biggest sporting event with the most fans in attendance. And this will be Canelo Alvarez's third fight in less than 5 months' time that he is stepping into the ring against another opponent. And this is a very good matchup. Billy Joe Saunders is an undefeated fighter, a two-division world champion, a very slick southpaw boxer who has very good skills and an excellent boxing IQ. And Canelo Alvarez is looking to unify 3 of the title belts at 168 pounds when he goes up against Billy Joe, and he looks to snatch that WBO title. Billy Joe is going to have to be on his A game. You know, we've seen Billy Joe when he's motivated, that this man puts on a great performance. His boxing skills is very, very good. And I believe that Billy Joe doesn't get a lot of respect, but I see this man putting up perhaps the best fight that Canelo Alvarez has had since he fought Triple G. You know, the last 5 fighters that Canelo Alvarez has had, you know, he's basically looked so dominant in those fights. It hasn't been competition for Canelo Alvarez. But I believe that Billy Joe's style is going to be a difficult style for Canelo Alvarez during the first few rounds. And I believe that this is going to be a very good fight, better than what people expect it to be. I see Billy Joe, you know, using that footwork, using good hand speed, because he has decent hand speed. He also has decent punching power, where he could be able to get the respect of Canelo Alvarez if he utilizes the jab and utilizes his movement in this fight. Now, from what I've heard, Canelo Alvarez has ordered a smaller ring size for Billy Joe so that he makes sure that Billy Joe is not on his bicycle all night long and running from Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez wants to make this a very close quarter fight. He's going to want to get on the inside with his body shots and wear down Billy Joe and get Billy Joe on the ropes or standing right there toe-to-toe in the pocket so that he could be able to do his best damage. Because Canelo Alvarez, you know, a lot of people say that his footwork is not that good. Canelo Alvarez has become a better boxer throughout the years. His defense has become very good. And this man has good hand speed, very good punching power, and he is a much better fighter than he was when he faced Floyd Mayweather, and especially when he faced Aslandy Lara back in the days. And people, you know, expect Billy Joe to just roll over. But I believe that Billy Joe is going to do better than Canelo Alvarez's last 5 opponents. And that includes guys like Daniel Jacobs, Sergey Kovalev, and Callum Smith, who is also another British fighter that was undefeated and that was the #1 guy at 168 pounds. Canelo Alvarez has gotten a lot of slack for the guys that he hasn't faced yet. But Canelo Alvarez is fighting his last fight on Dazn. He made that statement already. This is his last fight on Dazn against Billy Joe Saunders. If he wins this fight and becomes the WBO super middleweight champion, he will have 3 of those title belts around his waist, and he looks to unify and become undisputed champion this year in September against Caleb Plant, who is another undefeated IBF super middleweight champion that fights over at PBC. Canelo Alvarez said that he will go over to the PBC platform, where he has been in long negotiations with Al Heyman about several fights on the table for him over there on PBC platform. And this is something that boxing fans have criticized Canelo Alvarez. You know, he was with Golden Boy. Now he's no longer with Golden Boy. He's been stuck on Dazn for quite some time. He's going to fulfill his obligation, which they renegotiated his contract, where he's going to get a very nice payday for this fight right here. And he's going to complete his dealings with Dazn. And he also works with Eddie Hearns right now as a co-promoting deal. And Eddie Hearn has had a great involvement with a lot of his fighters fighting Canelo Alvarez. But people have criticized guys like Rocky Fielding, guys like Colin Smith that he has faced, and also an old Sergey Kovalev. You know, right now, Canelo Alvarez to me is the pound for pound best fighter in the world because of his resume, because of his accomplishments. And this man deserves respect as the best fighter in the world right now, today. Terrence Crawford is my number 2 guy, pound for pound on that list. You got a lot of other great guys like Errol Spence that are on that list as well. But Canelo Alvarez is the man in boxing today. And this man is going to try to beat not only another undefeated champion in Billy Joe Saunders, but then try to face another undefeated champion in Caleb Plant to become the undisputed 160-pound super middleweight champion of the world. First Mexican fighter to ever do it. This will be a great accomplishment for the history books for Canelo Alvarez. He is still a young fighter at 30 years old in the prime of his career. And this man now has said after he becomes undisputed champion, he is willing to face Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez sometime down the road. And you got to look at the year 2022. Next year, that those fights are going to take place once Canelo Alvarez starts fighting over on the PBC platform, where most likely is going to be on Fox PBC. And that's a very big pay-per-view scenario for Canelo Alvarez. And it's great matchups because those are the fights that the fans want to see. But fans are always going to criticize Canelo Alvarez no matter what. You know, the same way they're criticizing him about making the ring smaller for Billy Joe Saunders not to be able to move so much. The same way they're going to make excuses about Caleb Plant never fought anybody, even though he's an undefeated champion and a very good boxer at 168 pounds. You know, they'll make excuses for that. They're going to make excuses for Jermall Charlo moving up from 160 pounds to 168 pounds because Canelo Alvarez is not going down to the middleweight division to face Charlo. Charlo's going to have to move up to face Canelo Alvarez at 168 if he wants that big fight, if he wants that big money bag. That's going to be at super middleweight. And people are going to criticize that Charlo had to move up to face Canelo Alvarez, the star, the A-side. And once Canelo Alvarez takes care of Jermall Charlo, people are still going to criticize. You know, the fight that everyone wants to see at 168 pounds is David Benavidez. And before in the past, Canelo Alvarez has said that he wouldn't face another Mexican fighter. But now he has said he is willing and open to facing David Benavidez. But that fight is not next. That fight is about 4 fights down the road. You probably won't see that fight until next year, September, Mexican Independence Day of 2022. So even though David Benavidez is a young fighter, he's growing. How long can he stay at 168 pounds? We're talking about a year and a half before he's able to get into the ring against Canelo Alvarez. Will he be struggling to make that weight by the time he steps into the ring with Canelo Alvarez? Will he just decide to move up to 175 pounds because he can no longer make that weight, and that fight will never happen? Canelo Alvarez has stated that he is not going to move up to 175 for anyone. Everyone wants to see him face Arthur Beterbiev. That's a great fight against the best fighter at 175 pounds. Guys like Demetrius Bivol, who has said he can make 168 pounds. If Bivol can face Arthur Beterbiev and become the unified champion at 175 pounds and then move down to face Canelo Alvarez at 168, we could see the same type of scenario where Sugar Ray Leonard back in the 1980s was able to defend his super middleweight title at 168 pounds and fight for the light heavyweight crown of 175 pounds against Donnie Lalonde. That was a fight where those titles were both on the line. And I can see the same thing playing out if Bivol is able to make 168 pounds and those titles are on the line. You know, that's a great opportunity for Canelo Alvarez, but people will criticize it because he didn't go up to 175. No one is never going to be happy with the decisions made by the superstar who is the A-side in boxing and that is the money man that everyone wants to fight. Canelo Alvarez has to be given respect and credit as the best fighter no matter what, because this man, you know, has the advantage and leverage over every single fighter in the game. People want to see him. They want to see him win. They want to see him lose. They want to see a great fight and a great fighter. And Canelo Alvarez has proven to be a great fighter throughout his career. He has taken on the best, and he has proven himself as the #1 guy in boxing. So I can't wait to this Saturday night to watch him against Billy Joe. I like Billy Joe Saunders. He gets a lot of criticism. He's a shit talker, and, you know, he hasn't taken the certain fights that he should have taken, you know, to prove himself. But this is the biggest fight of his career. You know, he's going against the best fighter he has ever faced. And it's time for Billy Joe to show and prove himself as the best fighter coming out of the UK. And we're going to see how good he really is. And will he rise to the occasion against Canelo Alvarez and cause an upset in boxing? But the way I see it, it's going 12 rounds. And I don't see this fight ending in a stoppage. I believe that Canelo Alvarez will win a decision victory in Dallas, Texas. And he will become the unified super middleweight champion with 3 of those title belts and the Ring magazine as well around his waist. So it's bigger and better things after this fight for Canelo Alvarez. But the good news is he's coming to PBC, and he's coming for Caleb Plant, Jermall Charlo, and David Benavidez. And boxing fans will still have something to criticize because he's facing these guys, but it's not on the terms that they would like. And it's not about what they like. It's about what the A-side of the superstar of the sport of boxing commands. And Canelo Alvarez is the top dog. So I look forward to this fight on Dazn this Saturday night. Canelo Alvarez against Billy Joe Saunders. Can't wait. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this YouTube channel right here, J Calderon Boxing Talk of Fight Hook News. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and also follow me on all social media platforms. My Instagram got shut down because of copyright violations. Now I have a new Instagram, so I'm building up my following once again from scratch. It's called Fight Hook News on Instagram. Follow me. Also, follow me at J Calderon Boxing Talk on Twitter, and also join the Facebook boxing group, J Calderon Boxing Talk. Please follow, subscribe, and also continue to show love and support for Fight Hook News. I'm J Calderon. Thanks for your support. Keep watching, and please subscribe.